We are going to start this evening on the far end with our Maui representatives. This evening, we're going to start with Mahealani Wynn. And we're going to ask her to, as he is preparing to do so, talk a little bit about who she is and why she's running for office in just 1 minute and a half. You ready? You're on.
Aloha everybody, aloha kako. I would like to thank the Hawaii Council and the Office of Hawaiian Affairs for sponsoring this forum tonight. I'm very honored to be here. I'm Mahealani Wynn. I grew up on the island of Kauai in Maui Valley. Some of you know our ohana there. I like to brag about my brothers there. My brother Darrell is the police chief, Chief Perry, and I have my other Kolohi brother who's Warren Perry. A lot of you guys know him. My father is Spanish. My grandparents immigrated from Spain in 1906. They worked on the first sugar plantation in Waikoloa sugar plantation. My mother is Pearl Ku'ulemomi Amina. She is from Hilo, born and raised, Waikiakai, and then after the tsunami they relocated to Waikiauka, Apmauka. They met on Oahu and then moved to Kauai. I have been the executive director of Native Hawaiian Legal Corporation for 32 years. That's, I think, how most of you know me. And I've also been a member of the Civic clubs for at least that long, serving as in many positions as committee chair, etc., under administration since President Charlie Rose. I'm very, very happy to be here, and I hope you'll get to learn more about all of us tonight. Mahalo. Aloha.
Aloha mai kako. Mahalo for having us here this evening. I so appreciate meeting all of you in the last 3 days, talking stories with you. I was born in Kohala, here on the island of Hawaii, raised in Waimea and in Keaukaha. I certainly love this island. However, we moved to Oahu because my dad did not have a job here, and we enjoyed the life there. I have 3 children. My children are Napua, Kahulu, and Jason, and they all have given me wonderful mo'opuna, which is a family that I just love. My background includes properties administrator for the Maui Land and Pineapple Company in Maui. I've been the administrator of the County of Maui Land Use and Codes Department. I have been a real estate broker for 40 years. I really love what I do. I have been fortunate to represent you as your Maui trustee on the board of trustees, and I am your present chair for the Land Committee. It is a real pleasure to be able to represent you and speak your piece as I go around the islands and hear your voices. Mahalo.
Thank you. Aloha kako, everybody. And happy All Hallows Eve, my friends. I am John Hawai'i IV, and I am currently the Trustee-At-Large for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. And, you know, looking back, I've been there for 14 years, and I really just am honored to have had the opportunity to do the things I've been able to. I remember starting off first as the Policy and Planning Chairman, and as well as the Program Chairman, where during that time I initiated over 40 action items, including one to acquire Waimea Valley, and another that would create a master's program at the Center for Hawaiian Studies at UH Manoa, and also create 3 new classes, including one that would inventory disputed lands. From there, I moved on. I was instrumental in developing our current strat plan, which I'm happy to say we are on track with all but 2 of our strategic results. and we're going to really work on those two. And currently I am the chairman of the Beneficiary Advocacy and Empowerment Committee, where I think over the last 4 years, we've had the most productive legislative sessions in terms of OHA bills passed. And I really look forward to serving you some more in the future. And it's going to be exciting times. Thank you.
Aloha, I'm Inikani Trask. I'm a native Hawaiian attorney. My father was Barney Trask. The Trask family came from Moloa'a, Hawaii. And when my parents were very young, they moved from Moloa'a and came to live on Oahu and Palama settlement. My mother is Haunani Haya Cooper from Hana, Maui. She is buried there. My sister still lives there in my tutu's house. I am a Hawaiian attorney. I graduated from Kamehameha, went to school on the continent, and practiced law for many years. In the year 2000, I was recognized as a United Nations International Human Rights Expert, and I was appointed to a diplomatic term there in New York for 3 years. I continue to serve the United Nations in the cause of human rights for indigenous peoples, and as recently as September 24th, was up in New York to address the General Assembly of Nations. I ran the Gibson Foundation for 14 years, building affordable housing for Hawaiian homesteaders, and did one of the first kupuna projects for our kupuna on the Big Island for affordable housing. It's a big issue for me in this election. One of the things that I also have done for the last 6 years, I'm a member advisory council of the Value Growth Associates. We just turned the shovel to break ground to build the first community health clinic on Lanai. And next month we will begin to put up the first premature baby facility on Molokai without state or federal funding.
So we'll come over on this side. Kili Akina will be next.
Aloha mai kako e mau holoha, a me mau kupuna aloha. I am tremendously honored to be here. Aloha to the Hawaiian Civic clubs as well as to OHA. I used to wonder, what will the future be for my keiki? And like you, I have many concerns. And that's why I'm running for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, because of our keiki. I'm the product of two worlds, a Hawaiian and a Western world. I was raised by my kupuna to understand the mana'o of Hawaii. Auntie Nona Beamer, whom I used to visit here on the Big Island, was my mentor, and I served as her chanter for her hula halau. Together we transcribed the most ancient of chants. But at the same time, my parents wanted me to get a Western education, so I went off to Northwestern University and studied and got PhDs in both Western philosophy and in non-Western philosophy that allows me to travel the world teaching human rights, ethics, and so forth. My family loves being Hawaiian, but they're also Chinese. We Hawaiians are open to everyone. I believe OHA can be the greatest leader telling people that together we are one people, a great people, Hawaiian and non-Hawaiian together, as we share aloha kekahi with everyone. I would be so honored to serve as a trustee. I've been a trustee of local, national organizations with large assets and large numbers of workers. I'd be honored to serve here in my homeland, Hawaii. Aloha.
Aloha, hiaki kako. Most of you know me. I've been a member of Hawaiian Civic clubs for many, many years. I am a mother, a grandmother. I have 2 children, 2 girls, and with their families, we have 3 grandchildren. I started out as an elementary school teacher, and later became a high-risk worker for the Kapiolani Hospital, where I counseled young mothers who came into the hospital to have their babies, and they were on drugs. So my job was to make a plan for them and to help them assimilate back into the community. Some of them helped them get into college and finish education, as well as getting off drugs. I spent 10 years in media where I was a newscaster and worked in many radio stations, almost all of them in the islands. In 1980, in the first election for OHA, I was one of the campaign managers for Rod Burgess, who was one of the first of the 9 trustees who became a trustee. So my history in OHA really began in 1980 when all of us who were part of that movement had classes with Justice Richardson, John Van Dyke, professor of law at the university, and this is where I really learned our history. And after getting over being very angry about what happened to us, I decided that the way to correct some of those things that occurred in the early 1800s was to become a part of a system to make things right. And this is why I am at OHA. I've been there for a long time, and I see my POW sign come up, so I'll save the rest for later. Mahalo.
And I'm mahalo for the POW sign. Harvey McAfee.
Aloha mai kako. Harvey McInerney here, and I'm running for Trustee-At-Large, Office of Hawaiian Affairs, and I eagerly look forward to being able to serve that board and help our Native Hawaiian people. I want to thank OHA for bringing us here tonight and being able to share thoughts and answer questions. And in particular, I want to thank the Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs for what you do in our community. You're very influential, you have a big presence in our community, and on a personal basis, I know when no one was standing for Lulolilo Trust and Lulolilo Home, our Royal Societies and the Civic Clubs were there taking care of Lulolilo Home on a Lady Sunday at our luau, and I just want to thank you for what you do for our people. I currently serve as the chairman of the Board of Trustees of Lulolilo Trust. It's a sacred duty and privilege that I have. I was appointed by the probate court in 2008 to Malama our kupuna. We've been very successful in turning the organization around. I also own and operate a financial services firm, and the fiduciary standard that I am under with that organization is serve me well, and I believe it will help us and help our people in OHA. Also, last but not least, the compassion that I've developed and the mentoring skills by teaching and coaching our students at Kamehameha schools for the last 16 years as the head track coach is something that is an honor and a privilege. And I thank you all again for letting me be here tonight. Aloha.
Let's give them a round of applause. Okay, so they did a really good job staying within a minute and a half. The next set of maybe serious questions, they only get a minute. So we're going to put up the first question up here. What are the most important issues facing Native Hawaiians, and what should OHA focus on in the next few years? And as I call upon Keli'i Akina to start this, I want to say to you that because we are trying to also live stream, we would like for the cell phones to be muted. If you can put them on vibrate of some sort. And if you need to answer those cell phones or you need to talk story, maybe we can walk outside a little bit and have the conversation out there. It's just really difficult, even with the miking system, to be able to live stream this. So, first question to Keli'i Akina.
We all know that the life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness, but we also know it is our children that will determine the future. The number one concern of the Hawaiian people must be our keiki. And our keiki must know how to thrive in the future. But to do so, they must be able to honor and understand the past. That's our Hawaiian culture. As well as embrace the present, which is our American culture. And this is a very difficult thing. OHA needs to give leadership as to how to bring these two worlds together so that our keiki, who cannot live in the past and must not stay in the present, will be able to create a future. And as they do that, the number one issue that OHA needs to deal with is education. That every Hawaiian keiki has the finest education, because with that education, then they can have entrepreneurship and build businesses and be proud and lead the world. But most importantly, it must be a future of values. Values in which we know how to honor the teaching of the past, but how to be part of the present in a way to thrive in the future. Mahalo for letting me share. Aloha.
Joanne?
Mahalo. One of the most important issues facing Hawaii today is homelessness. With all of the land that we own and the money that we have in all of our trust funds, we should be able to take care of our people who occupy the beaches and parks and those kinds of things. It's gotten so bad that now we have families who are out there, children who have to go to school after living in the park and dressing in a dressing room in the park. These are the kinds of things that OHA can help with by partnering not just with the Department of Hawaiian Homelands, but with other entities to build self-help housing. Go back to what we used to do before. We had a housing division that worked very well in the community, partnering with many people. We need to go back to that and help build housing that people can afford and transitional housing to help people get on their feet. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Harvey?
The most important issue facing OHA today is the same issues that they've faced for the last 20, 30 years, and I'm sure in the years ahead will also face, and that's establishing a self-sustaining economic base. Providing quality education, affordable housing, and quality health care, dental and medical for our people is paramount. However, at this point in time, after all the years, 12 years of the Akaka Bill, the Kanai'olavalu, Kauinoa, Roll Commission, and all the money's being spent, governance is a very, very important thing now. I believe we're in a pivotal time in the history of our people, and we're on the right track to determining our self-determination and what that form will take. So I believe that the captain OHA is on facilitating for building a nation right now is a very, very key issue, and we can't let that slip away from us. We need to do it now.
Great.
The most important issues that are facing Native Hawaiians and OHA today are health, housing, education, violence, domestic violence, drug abuse, failure to protect our cultural resources. For our vast and diverse group of beneficiaries, there are many critical issues. This year, OHA voted itself a annual budget of $50 million. That amount greatly exceeds the amount of money that we have coming into the trust. What that means is that we're looking at a period of fiscal shortfall for many of the critical issues that I've mentioned and many more that we don't have. OHA needs to address this because OHA is being looked to now by the state legislature as the body that will pick up the tab. And we're already servicing the DHHL loan debt at about $3 million per year. We cannot maintain the needs of our people unless we change the way we're looking at developing our assets, and we need to do it immediately.
Thank you. John?
Thank you. Earlier I was mentioning our strat plan and how we are meeting all but 2 of our strat plan results. And for that reason, to me the most important issue facing Native Hawaiians, and especially in terms of OHA right now, would be home ownership and housing. And that's because there are less Hawaiians that own homes now than there were 4 years ago, and there are more Hawaiians paying more than 30% of their income on housing. I think we need to target our grants and our advocacy for programs that not only would provide housing, but also economic self-sufficiency, and also look at partnering with other individuals to take that challenge on.
Thank you. Carmen?
There are many issues affecting our people today. We have housing, health, but one of the most important to me is the economic development. Our people have to know that they're going to have jobs tomorrow. Jobs are very important to be able to keep their families, feed their children, keep a roof over their heads. That gives them peace of mind. And when a family has peace of mind, they have happiness in their homes. That's important. OHA is putting into our communities today $14 million a year for education, health programs. So I believe that we need to start moving into the direction of helping our families to feel comfortable, go out and get their jobs. We can provide jobs at Kakako Makai when we start moving on that project and hopefully leverage our resources so that we can help all of the islands of Hawaii, not only Oahu. Mahalo.
Mahalo. And last but not least, Mahelan.
Aloha. Trustee Waikoloa mentioned a strategic plan, and I think that that's a very disciplined way to address the basic issues, social issues, housing, health, education, high rates of incarceration, all of those. But like Harvey, I'm very, very interested and want to see systemic change. And that is the career that I've followed. In my career, I've addressed the putting out the fires, responding to the crises that are right at the door, but working always to huli the system so that it is more responsive to our needs. Because unless we can effectuate systemic reform to this system which oppresses us and to which we have very little policy-making input and influence, nothing is going to change. We're going to see, I participated with registering people for the first OHA election, and I have been working steadily to address the problems in our community. But we need to have our own government, and that to me is a very large priority without neglecting our basic needs pursuant to a disciplined strategic plan. Mahalo.
Great job. Round one, done. Very impressive. All right, so we've got question number 2, and we're actually going to start with Mr. McInerney. But before we do that, I'm just going to read it very quickly. OHA has a variety of assets from investments to Kaka'ako Makai, Waikoloa to the former Galbraith estate. What is your vision to manage these assets? And we will begin with Mr. McInerney.
What we have to have is a balanced management activity to maximize our investment returns while keeping in mind access culturally and educationally to our lands. Now the land assets have a different set of guidelines that they're under, and I'm very glad that OHA now does have a land asset management group, and those lands are going to be into perpetuity, so those need to be managed accordingly. On the investment portfolio, the engine that drives the bus, I believe that right now in the world that we're in, with the volatility in the capital markets, and everybody sees what's going on and what happened in 2008, 1987, 2002, all these big corrections in the market, during those periods of time, assets were non-correlated. When one went up, the other one went down, and vice versa. These days, in 2008, when that market crashed, everything went down. We have to have someone on the board with an understanding of those financial capital markets, and I believe that I'm that person. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go over to the other table with these tracks.
One of the largest issues I think that we faced this past few years, and certainly this last year, was the problems with the Kaka'ako Makai property. And I think that it very much demonstrates the problem that we're having at OHA. For a long time, OHA did not have significant commercial or business assets. And as OHA has acquired them, we have failed to acquire the capacity to do business in a private and professional way. Bishop Estate has 250,000 acres of land on this island and manage it with 3 land managers. Today, OHA hired its 13th land manager, and we only have 30,000 acres to manage. We need to retain those with the ability and the capacity that we need. And if we need them for 3 or 6 months, let us do that. But carrying a huge staff that does not have the capacity to post an RFP, I was concerned that OHA staff posted an RFP on Kaka'ako. We have lost $500 million there. And they posted an RFP on it with a staffer who had a background on the Burial Council and working in publication for the Bishop Estate. We cannot do this. We need to retain professionals and develop our people's assets.
Thank you. Mr. Waikoloa?
Thank you. These are all very different properties, so I want to try to answer them and be accurate with each one. For Kaka'ako Makai, I think our vision is to manage a property in a manner where we can maintain all the cultural integrity and the Hawaiian sense of place while still generating enough revenue so that we can sustain it and add money into the Native Hawaiian Trust Fund. While Keliopuna, I think ultimately our goal is to get to a point where OHA is managing it. Right now, we still have the HHL under managing that property. We want to get to a point where OHA is managing it ourselves. And for all three of these, I think we also want to have a business plan and financial model. Gilbert Estate, we hope that we can eventually get a good management team in consultation with the residents there, as well as clean up all the rubbish, and hopefully maybe even get Native Hawaiian farmers onto the Anibas. Thank you.
Thanks. Ms. Lindsay?
My vision for the preservation lands is to make it all self-sustainable. On the Waikele Opuna, we have 26,000 acres there. It would be good if we could be able to use the invasive species and turn it into biofuel. At Galbraith Estate, we have 500 acres there, and it would be good if we could probably do diversified agriculture around the Kukami local site. We also have 20 acres of preservation land in Maui called Palauea that was donated to OHA. In turn, we dedicated it, or stewarded it, to the University of Hawaii Maui campus to use as a living classroom. For the Kaka'ako Makai, I hope that we can create partnerships and build out our master plan so that we can create revenues that can help everyone statewide. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Ms. Maggie?
Aloha. With respect to our investment assets, a reasoned and disciplined spending policy to guide our investments that comport with the highest fiduciary standards. For our legacy lands, I would like to see more community engagement, especially interested in Galbraith Estate, Kukaniloko Birthing Stones. We know that there are practitioners there who have long relationships and can be very, very helpful in guiding OHA towards making the correct cultural decisions. Kaka'ako Makai, in talking especially with our community, they're wondering whether OHA should go back to the legislature and either revisit the settlement or attempt another settlement. That settlement had been pending almost since OHA was created, and it's been a long time coming. It's been a great disappointment. It's been very demoralizing for our community to think that the revenue lands cannot be realized, and so I look forward to investigating whether or not the settlement should be revisited. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Mr. Keenan?
For several years, I've been a trustee on a national philanthropic board with assets throughout all the 50 states and in a dozen foreign nations. And I've learned two things that are absolutely important for nonprofit trusts, and OHA needs to adopt them. Number one, best practices for a nonprofit trust. Unfortunately, OHA has been practicing or trying to be a private land developer. We see that in Kaka'ako. The principle for private land developers is to speculate and to get the greatest profit. The principle for trust is not to speculate, but to protect. As a result, OHA has lost money. It settled on a nearly $1 billion debt that the state had for a $200,000 property in Kaka'ako, and then it failed to be able to pull off doubling the height of the towers that would make it feasible financially. The second thing OHA needs to do is be driven by values. The value of Malama the Aina needs to prevail in Kaka'ako, especially on the waterfront. The idea of building towers there, twice the height of those allowed in the city, blocking the view, means that OHA has changed from being the protector of the Aina and our values to a profit-based center. We need to change that with new trustees. Mahalo.
And Ms. Akana.
Mahalo. These lands are all governed by different set of rules. The trust lands that we have are not all profit-making, even though we would like them to be. The Galbraith estate we just acquired maybe a year and a half ago, and those lands are used for agriculture. Our Kaka'ako Makai was a settlement with the state. However, due to the settlement amount, OHA may have to go back to revisit this settlement because of several conditions in the agreement that OHA was not aware of at the time of signing, and I cannot go into that with a very short time. As for our Waikoloa, most of that land is in conservation, so each of these lands are governed by a different set of rules. And while OHA tries to do its best to govern these lands, we must remember that we are also governed by rules that hamper our access and our ability to do more than we can. That doesn't mean that we're not going to. We will.
We have to mahalo them again. Round 2 is done. All right, so it's been a little serious, right? The 2 questions up front have been a bit serious, but we're going to turn the tables a little bit. Now, these speed questions are meant to just find out a little bit more about each of the candidates. And so, when I ask the question, and we're going to start by going over to Mililani Trust first. They only get 10 seconds to actually answer it, so it's a really short snapshot. And these are fun, so you can kind of laugh if you hear the answers and you connect with what they're saying. All right, so question number 1. If you had a hoa or ohana coming in, and you wanted your favorite Hawaiian dish, and where you would get it from, what would that be, and where would that be?
That's an easy one. It would be kulolo. I think every Hawaiian loved that. The Hawaiian amount, when you eat that, all cultures love that. I know from the UN. And there's only one place to get it, from Kauai. And there's only one person to get it from.
Thank you. All right, John, you're up.
Does beer count? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, counts, yes. Sure.
Easy, I'll say the patella stew at Heidi's.
Yum. All right.
My favorite food is beef stew, and I don't have to go any place to get it because I make the best.
My husband and I are taro farmers. My favorite food is poi, fish and poi. We can go right down to the Holiva and catch any fish we want, reef fish. So I like anai, I like moi, I like u'u, all the red fish and poi. That's my favorite.
Pipi kaula from the Big Island with rock salt and Maui onion.
Rowan.
Poke from Food Land.
Doesn't matter which one. Doesn't matter which food land. Okay, all right. And last but not least, Harvey.
I gotta say, as a 7-year-old boy, spending the night at the Warrington home in Ainakoa on Oahu was chicken heka. It was something I'll never forget.
Wow. All right, speed question number 2. What is your favorite beach What is your favorite beach? John, we're going to start with you.
Waimea. It's my favorite beach.
Waimea, it is. Okay, Carmen.
Mine is Kauai. As a little kid, that's where I always went swimming.
Waimanalo, Waimanalo, Waimanalo.
John. Oh, sorry. Kelly, sorry.
Hanauma Bay, where you can walk out, go around the point, and dive into the toilet bowl.
Oh, okay. Rowena.
Guys of the army would come out and watch.
Harvey.
I'd have to say Kualoa Beach on the windward side of Oahu, just for the feeling that you get when you go to that beach and what it meant to our ancestors and to me.
Okay.
My favorite beach is Hana Bay. My grandmother, Iwalani Haya, launched her canoes from there and taught me how to fish there. And when I go back to my tutu's house, I still have my fishing pole there.
All right, hopefully these speed questions give you just a glimpse into their lives and where they're from and who they are. So, you know, that pili is important for us, right? Okay. Of course, we've got to get back to something a little bit more serious. So, round 3 on the serious questions. What do you think about the current nation-building efforts? What do you think about the current nation-building efforts? And we're going to start with Mililani Trust this time around.
In February of 2014, I filed a human rights complaint with the United Nations objecting to the status of our people and a long history of manipulation by the state and the federal government that have prevented our peoples from exercising the right of self-determination. My clients are here, Kai'ulapoma'i Hawaiian Civic Club. The question of nationhood is one that must be dealt with by our peoples, and we are capable of doing this. Why do we have so many divergent voices in our community on sovereignty? Because so many Hawaiians want to work to achieve that goal. But we cannot have state and federal manipulation. 12 years of the Akaka Bill, only 1 hearing for Hawaiians in the state, followed by the HSEC, then we had the HSAC, then we had the Native Hawaiian Convention, then we had the Kauinoa, then we had the Kana'i o Walu, and now we're having the Kamau Ha'ea. Our trust paid for it, but our peoples were excluded, even as you are excluded now. Tomorrow, $50,000 of our trust money is paid to fly in international human rights experts from around the world to a meeting on Oahu to talk about our future. But you will not be there because it was scheduled at a time to exclude Hawaiians. And I will not be there either because OHA will not recognize my international credential. Why do we do this?
I didn't really want to follow Mililani on this question. You know, I think it's and I'm guessing when you say current nation-building efforts, I mean, it's not just general efforts. I'm guessing it's OHA specific to what OHA is doing. I think, you know, we're doing, I would say we're doing as good a job as we can. There's no policy template in place that allows you to just do this. So everything, you know, is a work in progress. I think we have a very ambitious agenda. I think where we knew it was going to be hard to meet it, and I think we're in a decent place, and I think we're going to succeed. Thank you.
And if I were in your shoes, I wouldn't have wanted that too. Just to let you know that. Yeah. Ms. Lindsay.
I think our current nation-building process lacks inclusivity of our people. I have gone around the islands and listened to our people, and they are very unhappy with the process that we're doing. I would support the will of the people to come together and create a consensus if this is what we really want. We cannot have just one sector of our community using resources and the other sector have none. So I'm saying that OHA should facilitate the process, treat everybody fairly, find a way to include everyone, not only those that have signed on to a state-created list. This is my feeling, and the bottom line is that OHA needs to be inclusive of all of our people.
Trustee Lindsay and I agree. I am the Native Hawaiian Road Commissioner for the island of Maui, actually Maui Nui. Our intention was to sign up any individual of Hawaiian ancestry who wished to participate in creating and restoring our government. That is a simple goal that we had. We wished the outcome of this process to be a nation that could be recognized by all governments, irrespective of whether it were the United States, the state, the federal government, or internationally. That is our goal. I believe the role that OHA is currently playing as our national treasury is appropriate. They should put their resources forward to underwrite the process. I also agree with Trustee Lindsay that it needs to be a fair, open process available to all without respect to which list they sign. So if that's news to some of you, I wanted to be clear that in my opinion, I am very supportive of a native nation, but native should be the only criteria. Mahalo.
Mahalo. So we come over to this side of the table, Mr. Tina.
Every one of my esteemed colleagues sitting on this panel has said that the greatest needs of Hawaiians are for housing, to end homelessness, for healthcare, for education. I think we believe that. But OHA, in the last 15 years, has taken $50 million plus and not spent it on those needs. It has instead pursued the Akaka Bill and Kana'i Olowalu to low results. Do Hawaiians want this? Kana'i Olowalu was supposed to be able to register 250,000 out of the 500,000 Hawaiians across the nation. Less than 30,000 signed up. That's about 5%. And then illegally, I believe, Kauinoa's names were dumped to add another 100,000. This is not the will of the people, especially for a state agency. This morning I arrived here and I read in the Kawai Ola, which comes out in November, somebody wrote, I am an American of Hawaiian ancestry. I am proud to be an American. I am proud to be a Hawaiian. I cannot imagine giving up my U.S. citizenship. That was Trustee Peter Apo. I applaud him because we need to teach our children to be caretakers of the past, but embracers of the future. We need to move forward and say we're proud to be Hawaiians and proud to be and shape Americans. Aloha.
Ms. Akana.
I have to defend the nation-building process because, as I've said, I've been in OHA 24 years. And the Akaka Bill was started in the year 2000 when OHA lost the rice case. The rice case is significant because now everyone can vote in our elections. And it was our senators and our congressional leaders who said, we have to do something to protect the trust. It isn't just about OHA, it's about Kamehameha schools. It's about all of our elite trusts who are in danger of being sued and overturned. And hopefully later I'll be able to ask the question of my colleague here about why he thinks otherwise. So the nation-building effort is very important and no one is being strong-armed to join. It's a voluntary process. You either want to or you don't want to. OHA is not in the business of trying to control what people think or what they want to do. Every process is open. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McNamee.
I believe that the nation-building process should continue. I respect everybody's opinion. There's different options, different opinions. And to get to where we want to be, there's going to be a consensus that's going to be built sometime. I have a very, very strong feeling that in the end, that we're going to come together as a people, understand that we do have differences that may never be settled. However, if we care about our people like we all do, there's going to be a point in time when civility, dignity, and respect are going to rule, and our people will build our nation, and we will move forward with self-determination. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, just as a really quick reminder, your phones will still need to be on vibrate. It does go off. I know we don't know that, but when it does, we're going to need to turn it down. Put it on vibration. All right. So that was a very heated question, and I want to break the heat up by offering another speed round question. So here we go again. We're just going to give a really quick run through. We are going to start with Ms. Akana. And in this one, we're going to ask her, who is your most influential leader? Who is your most influential leader? A short 10-second answer.
I'm from the era of the late 60s where the Kennedys and those people who started the, oh God, I can't even think of the organization now, but anyway, there were many people in the 60s that I believe had the heart of the people, and one of them was President Kennedy.
President Kennedy it is. Very good. Mr. McInerney.
When I think about this, and who is the most influential leader, I think about Nelson Mandela in South Africa. The suffering that he went through for his people, enduring what he did and coming out the other side to lead his people once again is something that I truly admire.
Great. Ms. Trask.
The most influential leader I met in my life was Mother Teresa of Calcutta. I worked with her for 6 years, and she taught me a very important lesson, that when you look at a glass that has only half of water, see that it is half filled, and remember that sometimes blessings come disguised as catastrophes.
Thank you. Mr. Waikoloa.
My leader is obviously my father, John Waikoloa III. Not only is he my father, but I mean, he became governor after only 6 years in public service, and that's pretty hardcore.
Ms. Lindsay.
I have many leaders that I admire, but I think that I'd like to say at a very young age, I went to work for Governor John Burns, and I will never forget the lessons that he taught me, both in politics and in real life. I will never forget him.
Ms. Mint.
I have most admired spiritual leaders. I have studied deeply Mahatma Gandhi, Dr. Martin Luther King, and I did have the privilege and honor of meeting the Dalai Lama. I would say, though, the greatest of these is our queen, Lili Okalani. She's my leader. Yeah.
Last but not least, Mr. Kina.
I admire many leaders, but the one that has influenced me the most to throw my hat into the ring to be an OHA trustee is former U.S. Senator Akaka. And the reason is that he fully embraces what it is to be Hawaiian and fully embraces what it is to be an American. He was a school teacher, a military vet, a United States Senator. He is proud to be a Hawaiian and proud to be an American. So am I, and I hope our children will be as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to take a little twist and turn here, and instead of the prepared questions, this time around, our candidates get to ask questions of each other. Applaud Dickens. All right, so as it's noted up there, each candidate will be able to ask a single question of his or her fellow candidates, and in the case of the Maui trustees, they will be asking questions to each other. And they will only have a minute to be able to answer. So I am going to turn things over to the Maui ladies first, and we'll start with Carmen. What questions do you have?
Mahel, as a commissioner of Kana'i Oluwalu, you were tasked with, your commission was tasked with getting 200,000 names. OHA gave Kana'i Oluwalu $3.9 million, and you came up with 20,000+ names. You held a debate in Maui at the University of Hawaii with Professor Kalekua Ka'eo, and this question came up to you, and you said that you would ask for an audit. My question to you is, did you ask for that audit?
Yes, we did, and there will be an audit. I believe the figures are incorrect, Trustee Lindsay, but pending the audit, we shall see. Since the commission was created in 2011, by our figures, it's still high, but the budget is about $2.3 million, is my understanding to date. Recently, the trustees did appropriate $400,000 more. Since the end of the fiscal year to date, our staff has been volunteering, so they've been working for no pay for the past 5 months. Now, I know I don't have much time, but it takes staffing to authenticate ancestry. It takes staffing to be the only online registry of Native peoples. So all of these things together have made this a very expensive enterprise. But yes, and we took formal action actually over a year ago to make sure that an audit would be completed. Thank you for that question. And my question of you, can I?
Well, I was just told that there could be a response. So I'm actually going to turn things back to Ms. Lindsay and see if you have a response to that statement.
I just want to say that the monies come out of the OHA office, and we write the checks to Kana'i Oluwalu. So the number that I quoted, 3.9 million, is correct. Of course, I checked before I came tonight. I realize staffing costs a lot of money, but $3.9 million is a whole lot of money. And after I voted to support Kana'i Oluwalu up to $2.9 million, I couldn't vote in support of it anymore because I didn't see how we could spend that kind of money and only got 20,000 names. That's it.
Mahalo. I do think that was a great example of respect, grace, and dignity. And I really want to applaud that between the two of you. Thank you so much. So, Auntie Mahelani, you have a question.
Yes, I have been very pleased at all the support of the West Maui water case. And I know, Trustee Lindsay, that you support. As you're well aware, there is also a very large water case on the other side of the island in East Maui. That is the largest private diversion of waters actually in the western United States. Over 60 billion gallons of water diverted out of 120 streams that have wiped out entire Native communities all along the East Maui. So my question of you is, will you support our East Maui taro farmers in this SOHA?
I definitely would support them. I support them today. I think that we can continue supporting the Native Hawaiian Legal Corps, who will defend us in those suits out there at West Maui. I have had calls from West Maui taro growers, and I have assured them my support. We have to continue fighting. Right in Central Maui, where we did get a settlement, the waters were open, and not all the waters came out. We just did it two weeks ago. So it's very, very important to me that these big companies, I think A&B, and the Waikoloa Water Company, that they be honest and release the waters that were given to us by the courts and by the Water Commission.
And the response.
I had, shortly after Trustee Lindsay took office, I had personally expressed some concerns I had with respect to her position on the water issues. I'm very satisfied with your response, and I thank you. Aloha.
All right, so now we turn to the candidates for the at-large slots. And they can ask a question, and we are actually going to ask all of the others to respond to that question before hearing back from the questionnaire. We're going to start with John Waikoloa, first and foremost. What question do you have for the rest of the panel for the at-large? I think they're working together somehow.
Okay, the state of Hawaii has two official languages, English and Olelo Hawaii. What role does Olelo Hawaii have in state government, in your opinion?
Okay, so we're going to start with Mr. Keenan.
I've been very pleased to support immersion schools, particularly the charter schools, and I thank OHA for that, because nationwide research into schools in which children learn two languages, their own native language and the language around them, shows that they become excellent in both languages. I have a vision that every Hawaiian young person, and the many who are non-Hawaiian, will speak Olelo Hawaii and English both perfectly in order to be successful in the future, and I believe our school systems, both at the public, private level, and the charter school systems, need to reinforce this. It will be wonderful when state documents can also be written in Hawaiian, widespread, understood, and used, but that will take educating the people. To preserve a culture, we need to preserve a language. And as a trustee, I will use my influence to do everything we can in order to preserve our Olelo Hawaii. Mahalo.
There's a comment.
I'd like to see the state live up to the state constitution, which states emphatically that we have two languages, both English and Hawaiian. OHA has been very active in trying to get that to occur, not only at the legislative level, but we have sued the DOE over not providing the funds for Hawaiian language in the schools. And OHA has picked up a huge tab to make a lot of that happen with immersion schools, Hawaiian language schools, charter schools, and every other kind of school that the DOE does not want to fund comes to OHA. So OHA is very serious about trying to get the state to live up to its mandate, which would allow for them to pay for education in Hawaiian and English. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McNerney.
Well, I think that Olelo Hawaii, it establishes and maintains a certain state of mind, a certain Hawaiian state of mind. And what it also does, it's a show to be in favor of our indigenous people here in Hawaii. It's something that is very, very important, that we're here, this place, this climate, these people, the beauty of these islands. It's so special. There's nowhere else in the world like it. So having Olelo Hawaii as one of our official languages, to me, it just solidifies the sense of Hawaiianness that is so important. And it's something that no place else has in the world. So I really believe that that should happen.
And Ms. Trask.
It is state law in Hawaii that we have two official languages. One is English and the other is Hawaiian. Several years ago, the question was raised to OHA. I was on the board at that time. Why don't we have any state agencies that will Olelo Hawaii? And we took a look at it. Truth was, majority of trustees didn't speak Hawaiian. Nobody on the staff spoke Hawaiian, and all the beneficiaries that came in that were sitting there that day, nobody raised their hand as being fluent in Hawaiian. We decided that the money should go to ensuring that that didn't happen with the next generation. For myself, I support the OHA Burial Council as the only branch of the state of Hawaii that conducts business in Hawaiian. We do have one, Oahu Island Burial Council, but I tell you as OHA trustee, I would not spend the $100,000 every month required to translate from English to Hawaiian. I would rather put it where Trustee Akana is saying, give it to our education so that our children will not be as we are.
Mahalo. Now, Mr. Waikoloa, you get a chance to respond to your own question.
I think some people have said to me the biggest influence Waikoloa Hawaii has in terms of the state, this impact on the state is in education. Just because students who go to Hawaiian language based schools tend to do better than Hawaiians who just go to the public school system. So we should continue to fund them, and we should lobby the DOE to make the testing, the standardized testing in Hawaiian also.
Okay, so as an indicator, I gotta applaud to that one. I'm like, yes, yes, fund our kids. It's really important for me, so I'm glad to hear this. All right, so Ms. Cass, your question, please.
My question for my colleagues is a simple one, and we've been on the campaign trail together for months now. We have 2 state agencies that are trying to help the Hawaiian people. We have 21,000 on the waiting list, Hawaiian homelands. We don't have any agreement or mechanism for Hawaiian homelands to work with OHA to address housing, and I know it's an issue that at least 2 of you are looking at. My question is, how do you see us working to try to address this problem? Hawaiian homelands, land, and exempt from zoning. OHA has money and the ability to joint venture. So colleagues, how can we address housing? What are your ideas, and how can we get the agencies together?
We're going to actually start here with Mr. Akina for an answer.
In the great Mahele, Kamehameha said that we need to have great people who are like people across the world who own private property, fee simple real estate. The Office of Hawaiian Affairs should advocate for the Department of Homeland's lessees so that they can convert their property into fee simple so that we can end the problem of losing the wealth from generation to generation. There's more than enough land. Homelands is the 4th largest land estate. Ruby Johnson, my mentor, has a plan to help people be able to own their own land. Every ethnic group knows that that's the way to wealth. And when our people can be private landowners, they can pass on their wealth, they take greater pride in their wealth, and we do not lose a single thing. That's an important step. The last thing I'll say is this. The Office of Hawaiian Affairs needs both to advocate for the people, but also take responsibility, because it has been a voice that has not used its wealth and its voice strongly enough to prevent the corruption and inefficiency in the Department of Hawaiian Homelands, and that must come to a stop. Thank you.
Ms. Akana.
I have to disagree with my colleague here because it ain't so. It just ain't so. Since I've been on the board, every time we get a new leader for the department, I've asked why they don't lease land to OHA so that we can build those affordable housing that they're not able to build. They can lease us the land. We can partner, as Melania said, with private developers. We've produced many housing developments with Hawaiian Homes. My problem with Hawaiian Homes is that they always come to OHA for money. We're carrying their bond debt now for 30 years, $3 million a year. That's because both administrations, the Cayetano and the Lingle administration, did not fund, as the state constitution dictates, the Department of Hawaiian Homeland. Instead, they told the department to use the $20 million they got in the settlement. So OHA has picked up a lot of its debt. I think that it is time for the department to partner with us instead of asking for money and let us help Hawaiians. Thank you.
I believe that, as I mentioned earlier, establishing a self-sustaining economic base is very key to this question. Many times, people can't afford the down payment, they can't afford to make the mortgage. So we need to look at the root of that, which is employment. We need to get better jobs for our people. On top of that, when I served on OHA's Native Hawaiian Revolving Loan Fund, and we provided low interest rate loans to startup and existing businesses, there were dramatic changes in many people's situations. All of a sudden, they went from struggling to successful, and they were able to support their families. So perhaps low interest rate loans, financial literacy, and just helping people with job creation and job function, I believe could be a very, very key thing that you can work with Department of Hawaiian Homelands. Thank you.
And Mr. Waikoloa.
Thank you. Like Trustee Akana said, I mean, we have had discussions, and for whatever reason, I don't know, we've never been able to come to any kind of partnership. I think recent events might make them more eager to come to us to ask for help, but maybe OHA could be more aggressive in our own, building of homes, just so that we see more attractive as partners. I don't know if New Nani Trash is going to talk about this at length, so I don't want to, but as you know, the military portrayal is coming up, and there's going to be military lands available. I don't know if we could somehow those are sea lands, get those lands that already have infrastructure. Hawaiian Homelands doesn't have to now build infrastructure on the property, and they might be interested in that kind of partnership. Thank you.
Ms. Trask, your response.
Well, after that lead-in, I guess I have to do as he instructs. What's really happening is that a few months ago, the United States realigned their military strategic assessment, and as a result of that, the United States has determined that they will downsize the U.S. Army. They are looking to downsize 19,000 personnel in the state of Hawaii, mostly on Oahu, and their 43,000 dependents. That is going to open up significant housing that is already built. Under the current state law, all buildings, airstrips, houses, schools, everything downsized comes to the state. Now is the time that we have to proceed, because Hawaiian lands at OHA are owed significant. We just lost $100 million in the Kaka'ako on the land appraisal. I would like to see the $100 million come back with houses on it so that we could apply it immediately to our Hawaiian Homes waiting list. Feds also owe DHHL a few acres on the Native Hawaiian Recovery Act, so the feds owe DHHL. We'll put together our $100 million on the land, take the houses and the buildings. Better to have the military aloha. Take the houses.
Mahalo. All right, so we're going to turn to Mr. McInerney for the next question to the rest of his colleagues.
Okay. Candidates, how would you bring together all the disparate sovereignty groups and philosophies to work towards a unified approach to nationhood?
Can you do me a favor and repeat that one more time?
How would you bring together all the disparate sovereignty groups and philosophies to work towards a unified approach to nationhood?
Okay, Ms. Trask.
I'm going to give you an answer that is both cultural and in conformity with international human rights law. If we're going to empower our people with the right of self-determination, we have to do it with Hawaiians to Hawaiians without interference of the state and federal government. We need to use our cultural mechanisms. Aha, halavai, puvalu. These are the way Hawaiians come together. And it's not big, giant, statewide events. It's hilo, meeting with hilo. Kona, Oahu, Waimanalo, let each community, according to their kuleana and the appropriate cultural vehicles, begin to discuss this. And we have a great resource to help us, who are Native Hawaiian educators, who wrote a grant to put together a curriculum for history and for self-determination that they will take to all Hawaiian communities. And you know, when they were asked to testify on the DOE, they said, ole, we will not testify, we will not take a position so that we can work with all. The grant came to Kamana Okono 5 months ago. It has not seen the light of day. We can do it as Hawaiians, we can do it.
Great.
That's a very good question. You know, I think that we should continue to try to do more grassroots meetings like we have been. I think though there's also a challenge of reaching the average. Well, there are a lot of Hawaiians, and I think a majority of Hawaiians don't come to forums or to community meetings, mostly because they have lives and jobs and probably don't enjoy that kind of atmosphere. Maybe we could try to reach out to them somehow. I don't know, like through phone calls or other means. Sometimes I feel like whenever people want to not have us get anything, they'll use that like, well, we'll give you this if you guys can all agree on it, which to me is not fair because like all Americans don't agree on things. So sometimes, we have to accept that, and we're going to disagree sometimes, and we agree to disagree.
Mr. Keenan.
I believe we need to return to Hawaiian values. Long before the United States spoke of civil rights or had the Emancipation Proclamation, King Kamehameha III articulated in the 1840 Constitution, "Uhana mai ke kua I nā la hui kanaka apau I ke koko ho'okahi." In other words, that God has made from one koko all human beings and nations of the earth. Sovereignty efforts that try to divide people by race are very much at odds with the practice in the kingdom in which Hawaiian, Chinese, Japanese, Caucasian, and others were extended citizenship. And when that premise is not at the heart, Ike Koko, I mean one Koko, from which all people have come, we begin to divide. We have to honor the past, yes, but the present is a world in which we have many cultures, and Hawaiians must be the leaders of all to show the value of aloha and loving one another. Mahalo.
Ms. Akana.
I think the word is koko. When we talk about nationhood and nation building and bringing our people together, that is a very complicated question, because if you get 10 people in the room, you're going to get 10 different ideas on how to do this. It's been a very difficult task. I do not think that what he's talking about is what we're talking about. It is clear. When we talk about koko, we mean the blood, the people, the Hawaiian, not the Asians, not the OHA, and no offense please, but we're talking about the native. And that's what the nation is going to be about. If we're going to open it up to other people, that comes much later. It is, I don't know why people expect Hawaiians to come together and speak all as one, when it took many, many years for America to form its declaration. Why do we have to be the example to sing one song? It'll take many songs and many voices to build our nation. We have to be open to that.
In response, Mr. McNamee. Your response to your own question?
Well, my response is very similar to what Mililani said. I believe that we have it within us as people to determine this ourselves and to build together. Now, what Rowena just said about 10 different people and 10 different ideas and attitudes is absolutely true. But I do believe, like I said earlier, that with the intelligence that we have as a people, with the passion that we have and the love in our heart, we will someday look at this and say, hey, look, we need to help our people. That's more important than my own individual agenda. I could see myself as a trustee maybe not doing what my own belief is, but doing what is good for the people as a whole. So I think that that's the answer. Use traditional values and make it a Hawaiian issue. Thank you.
Mr. Kana, we're going to ask you to ask your question now here to your fellow candidates.
I'd like it to be one of those speedy questions.
If you've been speaking to the mic, I think you can capture your voice.
Okay, candidates, we have to have some humor here. I'd like to know from each of you if you have a secret passion. Would it be theater? Did you ever dream of being on stage? Or what is it that you like to do that we don't know anything about?
All right, we're going to start on the far table with Mr. Waikoloa.
I guess, I don't know if I will say I love doing it, but I do improv. I graduated from Laugh Track Theater and I do improv.
Great. Something we didn't know about him. Okay. Ms. Trust.
What I like to do in my spare time, and I know it sounds strange, but I am a bird watcher, and I know the species of birds that we have here. I spent 12 years when I was getting my undergraduate degree restoring the wetlands of the Bay Area. So I'm very keen to see if we can apply that for restoring our Waikoloa marsh on the island of Oahu. But I'm a bird watcher and I have the binoculars and everything.
Mr. Akita.
Well, I was once caught doing this, but I do it from time to time. I go up onto rooftops where I can go to the very top and look down onto the street. Nobody can see me, and I chant in Hawaiian. I start with blessings, and then I use humorous chants to make fun of people. But other than that, it's a lot of fun. It lets off a lot of steam.
Mr. McEnany. Oh, you already did, right? Did you answer this? Okay, great.
What I wish I could do that I can't do is play a musical instrument and sing. When I was in Kamehameha schools, they put me on the very top riser in the far right-hand corner, and so just powerful words. What I do enjoy doing is reading. I love to read. I'm reading probably 3 or 4 books at a time, all the time. And something that a lot of people don't know that I don't share with a lot of people is that I'm a very big aficionado of combat sports. I love boxing. I love Muay Thai. I like to participate in tournaments, and it's something that I really enjoy.
Great. And so, in response to your own question?
Well, I like theater, and I fooled my parents by telling them that I wanted to go to New York because New York University had the courses that I needed to take, and only that school had them. And it was really because I had a passion to be on the stage. And so I did do some off-Broadway and really enjoyed it. So that's my passion.
Wow.
There's politics and theater.
Wow, an interesting mix. All right, I believe Mr. Akina has a question, and he's the final person to ask the question. So, if you would.
Henry left his home island, the Big Island here, and united all the islands. He left it in the care of his closest and dearest friend, Keone Olohana, and he appointed him an alii. He's buried today in Mauna Ala. Keone Olohana is the Hawaiian way of saying John Young, because he was completely British. And so Kamehameha Nui started the practice of conferring citizenship regardless of race, which is a true Hawaiian way of opening arms. How will you, as a trustee and as a representative of the host culture, give leadership to showing the hospitality and the unity that we as Hawaiians have always shared as our value as we reach out to the world.
Ms. Trask.
I'm not sure that I understand the question, but I don't need it repeated. The issue of citizenship with regard to the Hawaiian monarchy was an issue that was addressed. The monarchy was a Western form of government. It was not traditional. The Hawaiian monarchs in that form conferred citizenship on those who were not of the koko. However, the monarchy never extended, nor did they ever transfer the traditional rights of our peoples, the rights of the native tenant to gather from the Aina. Those rights were always reserved to the Hawaiian. In terms of the U.S. policy, I am afraid that the United States policy provides that it will recognize indigenous nations, and it has recognized 550, 200 in Alaska, 350 in the lower 49, and America policy require that they will only recognize those that are of indigenous blood. America policy does not allow recognition of those that are not indigenous in the Native American Indian nations. You can marry to them, but you cannot extend citizenship. That is America's policy.
Mr. Waikoloa.
Thank you.
Sir, the question ended with this: how will you, as a leader of the people of the host culture, show hospitality to others?
I think that the Hawaiian nation moves forward, extending recognition and the right to vote to those of the blood. You know, Hawaiians have always married all races. We have aloha for everyone. But the conferring of the authority of decision-making within the nation is reserved to the native peoples. You can hanai those that are not of native blood, and that is a great gift to them. But you cannot extend to them the benefits, for instance, of being a native practitioner. Even the American court dismissed the haole that came into the Pele defense case and said that she was a native practitioner. Federal court threw her out because she might have been practicing Pele worship, but she was not a native. She was excluded by the court itself. Cannot.
Mr. Waikoloa.
Oh, thank you. I think, at OHA, we've always entertained a lot of people from around the world whenever they come, whether from the mainland, government officials, Indian tribes. We show them our culture, our hula, we feed them, and we have good meetings. We're very much about, showing them aloha, showing them our culture. In terms of sharing the Native Hawaiian Trust, I don't know if that's what you meant, but the only problem with that is, see, as beneficiaries, as trustees, our primary directive is to protect the Native Hawaiian Trust and our beneficiaries' proprietary interest in it. And it is clearly in law that our beneficiaries are Hawaiians and Native Hawaiians. That's what we signed up for when we went for this office. That's what we're bound by legally, by trust law and everything else. So we will, continue to be prudent and fiduciary in that manner, and that's how it's always going to be.
Ms. Akana.
I think too much aloha is what got us into trouble in the first place. But I have to agree with Mililani Trask because I sit on 2 national American Indian boards, and I can tell you that the rights of those natives are for the natives. They can extend a right to someone who marries out of the tribe, and those people can get certain benefits, but they cannot vote, they cannot participate or in any of the tribal things that are done with the native people, and they certainly cannot own land. Earlier, he said something about private ownership for Department of Hawaiian Homeland's people. That would be a terrible mistake because these things are trust lands, and American Indians can tell you when they tried that in their reservations, they have problems now because they have checkerboard reservations where they have people who are non-Indian living among them who cause an awful lot of problems. So that is not a great idea. Thank you.
You know, as the Aloha State, Hawaii is known not only nationally but around the world as a very hospitable place, and I don't think anybody would deny that. So I believe we just be who we are, and that's how we show who we are. Now, my ancestors from the western side, the whole family came from England, went to Boston. The McInerney family came from Ireland, went to Boston, and both sets of families came here. They were men. They very wisely and promptly married Hawaiian women. When that happened, of course, I'm of the western side and I am of the Hawaiian side. But the mission, the stated mission for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs is to better the conditions of native Hawaiians. So that's what I intend to do.
Yes. As you were listening very carefully to my esteemed colleagues, and I do respect them greatly, each one generally responded to the question by talking about the fact that there is a particular set of rights, a particular set of privileges, or a mission that the trustees must defend. But my question was not asking about redistributing any of this to non-Hawaiians at all. I was trying to address something that we have to really talk about, and that is that there's a growing tension between Hawaiians and non-Hawaiians. I've said earlier that I think that the pursuit of separate racial sovereignty contributes to that tension. So my question really was for trustees who will think outside the box and realize, yes, we must defend the rights of Hawaiians and lead the Hawaiian people in advancement. But we do this in a broader context. We do this in the context of all races, all peoples. And we must not take actions that create resentment toward the Hawaiian people by these actions. We must show the world by our practice of aloha that aloha is real, and aloha is something that we give leadership to, and we must be able to resolve the problems of the tension that is growing between the sovereignty movement and the rest of the population. That's the work of a trustee. Mahalo for listening.
Now, as we close this evening, we will allow each of the candidates just a minute, just 1 minute, to offer us some final thoughts as we carry forward with the vote. It is important to hear your last thoughts to this esteemed group, and we honor you by allowing you this time. So, we will start with Auntie Mahelani, and we'll work our way around here. If you are ready.
My thoughts at this very moment are with my family. I have, with my husband, 18 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. Everything I do for them, and their children and the children to come. I've dedicated my life to working for our people. I ask for the privilege of continuing to serve. But as I spoke with my husband, we agree it's a win-win situation, because if whatever happens, it is Akua's will, and I always have the taro patches to go back to. It's a win-win situation. So mahalo, aloha.
Mahalo. I've been serving at OHA for 3 years, and I have learned so much. I've traveled our islands, every one of them. I've been to the Ihau, Kalaupapa, Molokai, Kaho'olawe, and all of the major 8 islands. I have listened to our people. I feel that my job on the table is to represent your voices. It's very important to me that I'm not there for myself. I'm there for you. So I listen very carefully. I humbly ask you to support me, to continue my legacy. I have a lot more to learn. I have a lot of time to share, and I hope to represent you the way you expect me to. Mahalo.
When I was first elected to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, it was right after the Rice case, and by the way, a lot of respect for the trustees that came before me, and I have no idea what feelings they had during the ordeal, but I have a lot of respect for them. But at that time, Act 304 had got repealed, and OHA was getting no money at all. The state, for some reason, said you couldn't give out grants, and there was a lawsuit in the court that was challenging Native Hawaiians' rights to be beneficiaries of the Native Hawaiian Trust. Since then, man, if you look at things now, we now not only got our revenue stream back, we now got Kaka'ako Highlands. We give up more grants than we ever have, and all those lawsuits we fought off and are doing pretty well right now. But I know what it feels like to feel like this could all be gone tomorrow, and I appreciate it. And I can't wait to go back to work next week. Thank you.
Here's Jeff.
You know, now that I've been running for office again, so many people approach me and say, why are you really running? And my answer to them has been simple. There are things that we choose to do in our lives. There are skills that the Akua has given to us. And it is for us, because we are free, to decide what path we will walk. In my life, I have many skills, but I have never been able to stray far from the Hawaiian peoples. The Hawaiian peoples, our family, our ohana, and every one of us here in this room, what bind us together. We have a great many things that we have to share with the world, including and starting with aloha, which Kiri'i always reminds us of. When we work with each other, we have tools like ho'oponopono and lokahi. If we return to our cultural basis, we can persevere. Many are the challenges Creator sends our way, only because Akua knows that we are capable of rising to meet them. That is why I love the Hawaiian people, and that is why I'm here to run for OHA. Aloha.
As a student at Kamehameha, they talked about servant leadership, and it was a notion that kind of flew over my head. I didn't give it a lot of thought. Over the last 25 years or so, it started to kind of come back to me, and in the last 15 years, it has resonated. It's something that I intend to do, whether I'm elected or not, is to serve the Hawaiian people. I have a deep love for our state, for the people in our state, and it's been forged through the experiences that I've had in coaching at Kamehameha, serving our kupuna at Lulu'ilo home, and also with my financial services investment firm, helping people realize their retirement dreams. So my kuleana is clear, and the path is right in front of me. And I ask for your vote of confidence as I enter into this election, and I hope to serve you folks. And I can promise I'll be fair and I'll work hard. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Well, I want to thank the Civic clubs and of course OHA for helping to sponsor this forum. I often wonder why, it's so late. I'm sure all of you already voted. So it's not going to make too much of a difference, but it gives us an opportunity to meet with you and for you to learn a little bit about us. I am the longest serving member of the Board of Trustees. This is my 24th year. When I came to OHA, we had no salary. We had 2 secretaries for 9 trustees. We had no money, and we were in the middle of a negotiation with the Waikoloa administration. In 1993, we reached a partial settlement. We received $129 million, which we invested, and by the year 2000, we had $400 million. I'm proud of the achievements that we have made and the strides that we have made at OHA. I bring to OHA the institutional knowledge, and I've got a lot of stripes in my back from taking bullets. It's not easy to be a trustee, but what is most important is that we do the will of our people and remember that we are trustees of a trust, and that's very important to me. Mahalo.
And finally, Mr.
I want to say thank you to all of you in the Hawaiian Civic Clubs and to OHA and to my fellow candidates. It's been a privilege to be able to run with all of you. Patty and I have 4 children, Kiapuni, Kamana, Ho'onani, and Amauloa Aku. If we have any more, she says it's going to be Amene. I have tried to teach them Hawaiian values because they are what we need. Legal structures will change. Political structures changed all the time for the Hawaiian people. But we need to learn to think outside of the box. Nothing can shape us or take anything away from us if we stick to our values. Tonight I've mentioned a couple. Malama Ka'aina, we need that in our development. Ke koko ho'okahi, that we all were made from one blood by God. This is what the Hawaiians said, even as far back as the Kumulipo chant. And I believe that as we go forward, whatever our differences are, we need to think that our children must truly honor the past and our values. But they're moving quickly ahead into the future. What will make them thrive is the ability to be based in our values of the past, but move forward into the nations of the future. And they are part of a great nation that does allow self-determination by all people. We need to learn to work the system in the United States. I am proud to be Hawaiian, absolutely. And I am proud to be American. And I truly believe that most of you are proud both to be Hawaiian and American. And when we reflect upon it, that's the pathway for our king. Aloha.
Let's give them another round of applause. It isn't easy doing that every week. And their willingness to put themselves forward in service to all of us. So we really honor them. We also need to honor those special groups of folks who, by the way, have been tracking us on the web. So, if you wouldn't mind, give the folks on the web who are watching us live streaming a round of applause too for sticking with us. And finally, obviously, we do want to thank you, and on behalf of OHA and Office of Hawaiian Affairs, we want to thank all of you for sitting through not only an hour and a half, but an hour and 40 minutes worth of debate, question and answer. So, to all of you in the audience, mahalo anui. I am told that before we ended this particular set of things for this evening, we would like to sing Hawaii Aloha. So if you would rise.
I'd also like to ask that you please join me in thanking Walter Aumoku for a good job in honoring. Behind the scenes, we have some OHA staff that's in live streaming this event. How about a hand for our staff led by Ryan Gonzalez of the Marriott. So if we can please just join hands and Hawaii Aloha. let's give OHA, the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, a big round of applause. All right, I'm glad we stood for a moment. I invite everyone.